User interface, video, audio, input, latency, frame throttle, drivers, playlists, core, saving, recording, configuration, accessibility.
Welcome to a video that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Right now, I am on the RetroArch menu, main menu, and I'm going through the different options. And as you heard right there, yes, this thing has accessibility features. Now, before we talk about it, let me just mention that this app basically has a lot of configuration that you got to go through before you even start playing. So if this is something that is not for you, that you want something that is more easy to play, if you are interested in going back playing retro games, and you're blind like me, for example, and you still want to play some of the games that you maybe you still remember, like the menus and all of that. Now, of course, this thing is not going to make those games accessible, but it's still going to allow you to get to them. And then if you know your games and your menus by memory, then this should not be a problem. But if you want something that's straight to the point, I definitely recommend Delta. It's another app that is pretty accessible with VoiceOver. You can load up your games, configure your buttons and everything, and it's all accessible. I even have a few friends who are doing that as well. But I wanted to try out something else because I know that this one has PS1 emulation, or as they call it here, they call it Core. The emulation system, they call it a Core. So, for example, in a Nintendo 64 emulation, they call it a Core. So your N64 Core, PlayStation 1 Core, and so you'll be hearing that throughout the video. So I just wanted to kind of mention that in case if you wanted to get into this RetroArch, just know that it does need for you to configure certain things before you even start playing. In saying that though, so I don't know how much anybody has kept up with the retro gaming, especially with emulation, but because this has already been going on Android, on PC, on handheld games, handheld portable gaming systems, I mean. And basically, you're able to play any retro game of your choosing, depending on the emulation that is available out there. So some people play on, for PlayStation 1 games, Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, all of that cool stuff. And so RetroArch has been one of those main applications or main systems that you can install again on the different platforms. But of course, with Apple, the way you were able to do it back then was mainly through jailbreaking. And so this was way before, where we are now. So last year, because of a lot of changes that have been happening in Europe, it has made Apple to sort of change a little bit of their own regulations. And as a result, now we have emulation apps that are available in the App Store. I already mentioned another one, which is Delta, and that one, like I said, is more straightforward, more to the point. There are a few other ones too, but RetroArch is one of those ones that has been around for a while now, and so it was cool to see them now be available officially in the App Store. And so the way, basically, I'll get into how I discovered it, but, I started with, because I'm a huge fan of, I like old school MK. I always wanted to have my games anywhere. I actually have, all of my copies, physical copies and everything. So I do own these games. But I always wanted to play them on the go because, I do have an ROG Ally, which I also have it, but I just like having my games everywhere. I'm at that point now. I just want whatever I pick up, I just want to play it right there. And so, and last year again, this happened in April, I think, sometime in April. So Delta, I've been playing, I've been playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy and MK4 on Delta and everything. But I always wanted to also try, play the PlayStation 1 versions. Again, I just want my games everywhere. And so in saying that, I installed RetroArch, and I want to share with you guys my experience with first sort of, launching it, and something happened. But anyway, I want to talk to you guys about that. So RetroArch, when I first installed it, now, like I was saying, basically I was playing on Delta, running games, whatever, and so I decided to install RetroArch. I'm like, hey, I want to try this one because it has PS1 emulation on it. But the first time I installed it and launched it, it said, interestingly enough, it said accessibility on. I'm like, okay, cool, And so I was expecting to just be able to browse with voiceover, with gestures and stuff that I use to browse, like, swiping left, right, up, down, double tapping, single tapping, triple, whatever, but nothing was working. So I'm like, I don't know what's up with this thing. It's not working. It's not responding to my gestures. So it must not work, But it never crossed my mind at first to use my external controller that I was already using on Delta anyway. So I just left it there. A year went by, and next thing you know, recently I was playing on Delta again. I had one of those downtimes. I was just kind of taking my time, just kind of chill, play against the AI with more MK Trilogy, and I'm like, hey, how about I want to see something real quick. And so I launched RetroArch, and I happened to have my external controller on, and as I launched it, and my hand moved across my joystick on my controller, and I accidentally noticed this.
History Mortal Kombat 4 favorites Mortal Kombat images Mortal Kombat Trilogy videos no videos available content list Chorus 2000 explore initializing list main menu configuration file settings accessibility.
So when my hand accidentally bumped my left joystick, I heard this reading back to me, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened there? And so I took my D-pad by default, as I used to browse my console,
History, Mortal,
and I was going around, I was like, wait a minute, this thing,
explore show all content was Chorus
it said accessibility on, but for some reason it wasn't interacting with voiceover. But it turns out that you needed to move around using your controller, mimicking a console. So after that, I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta see what's going on. And so I started playing around, and I pretty much discovered that this whole thing is accessible for blind players, as far as even the initial setup, which I will go over with you guys. But obviously this is not a tutorial, it's just an overview. And so
explore show main menu configuration settings
as you can tell now, this is my configured settings already. So of course, when I first launched it wasn't like this before. It was a different menu.
Explore show all.
It was a completely different menu, and I changed the settings and everything, and so that's how I discovered it, just by accidentally bumping my hand on my controller, and I heard it. So then it turns out, the more I was learning about it, the more I was configuring settings, I realized that one thing that you need to know, and I'll talk about this more in the accessibility overview once we get into it, that there's certain things you gotta have off in order for this to work properly for you. And just real quick, basically you just have to have voiceover turned off, because this thing has this is its own screen reader, and you are able to touch the screen with certain situations, but you gotta use the arrow keys to navigate instead of using on-screen gestures. Because otherwise you're gonna start messing things up and everything. Because once you turn off your voiceover, of course, it becomes like how everybody else uses their phones. You just touch it once, and things happen, right? So, but yeah, so I made that discovery, and it was really interesting how that went down. But with that said, I just wanted to share with you guys how I accidentally discovered that. And with that said, let's jump right into the overall accessibility overview with RetroArch. So as I mentioned to you, right, it's for blind players. This thing feels like a console. Now I'm scrolling, as you guys can tell right now. I'm scrolling, right?
Main menu configuration file.
The accessibility settings, though, are very minimal. So let's start with that. When you click on accessibility, the main thing you will notice is
text-to-speech speed 6.
There's only 3 main settings here. It says
accessibility enable on.
Accessibility enable on, and that's how the app says when it launches for the first time. But so here you can turn it off if I move to the left.
Accessibility enable off.
Now it's off. So I went back to it, and I'm gonna move to the right.
Text to speech
and it's back
6.
on. And here you can just adjust the speed. You can adjust the volume, unfortunately. And then the next setting here
AI
is
service.
AI service.
AI service enabled off.
What this is supposedly is some kind of AI assistant that would help you troubleshoot whatever, if you have issues with configuring your system or whatever. I haven't used it yet, so I don't know how it works, and I have it off right now, but apparently you turn it on. And
AI service enabled off.
And and so if I turn it on,
AI service enabled on. AI service output speech mode.
And you can adjust different speech mode, I guess.
During translation off. Source language default. Target language default.
I haven't played with these yet, but apparently it's supposed to help you with configuring your app and stuff like
Accessibility high
that.
service.
So I don't know. But anyway,
Text-to-speech speed,
let's talk
API
about
service.
navigation.
Settings
How I'm doing it,
accessibility.
right? Like I said, this whole time, I'm using my D-pad or the joystick if you want. And so the main tabs are from left to right.
History, Mortal Kombat, favorites, Mortal Images, Mortal Kombat, videos, no videos.
As you can tell
available.
here,
Content was
I'm
sourced
moving from left to
2048.
right.
Explore, show all.
And all these different main tabs.
Main menu configuration file.
And so whatever setting, whatever option you move on, it'll stay there. So for example, in settings,
accessibility.
I've been messing with the accessibility right there, so it stays there. So it's really cool. But let's say I want to keep it to
user interface.
user interface. Usually it starts there anyway. So now if I scroll around
History,
all
Mortal,
over,
favorites, images, more videos, no content was color. Explore, show all. Main menu configuration file. Settings, user interface.
that it stays there. So keep in mind too that these menus do wrap, but you can change that, and I'll show you how you can set it where it doesn't wrap anymore. I don't mind it wrapping because obviously I can hear where I'm located around the screen anyway. But you can have it where it doesn't wrap anymore. It has a beginning and has an end on the menus. So when you browse through each menu, you do go up and down to once your main focus is on that particular menu. So in settings,
Main settings, user interface.
I start going up and down to go to the different settings that I can adjust, like
Video,
audio,
input,
right? All of these,
latency, frame throttle, drivers, playlists, core, saving, recording.
right? Right now I'm just moving down.
Configuration,
I'm going down, but I can go up again.
Record, save core, playlist, drivers, frame throttle, latency, input, audio, video, user interface,
Right there.
logging, director, user, achievement, network, power management, accessibility.
Right, so I just did up and down. So that's what you do with every tab that you focus on. If I want to get out of this settings menu, I just arrow to the left or to the right,
Main menu configuration file.
and now I'm on the main menu, which is more. This is more like your main RetroArch configurations that you do. Like you have your
information configuration file.
configuration file, which I'll talk about in a bit.
Load core.
These are the list of like the different emulators. Again, they call them cores, but this is where you'll find them.
Load content.
This is where you can load up like a game or save files or whatever.
Playlists.
You can create playlists.
Import content.
This is where you import like the games and stuff,
Netplay.
Apparently you can play online. I haven't set that up yet, but apparently there's ways to play online with this thing.
Netplay. Online updater.
Online updater. This is an important setting that I'll talk about on. I'm just gonna show you guys in a bit, like a very basic setup when you first start RetroArch to get it ready before you start loading up games and stuff.
Online updater information.
So that's it. Yeah. I'm just browsing up and down in this main menu now, and I'm gonna go back to the settings,
Settings accessibility.
where we're gonna spend most of our time right now. So yeah, as far as the main UI, it's fully accessible. It's reading everything as I'm browsing. I even hear my game. Like if I go to
History, Mortal Kombat 4 USA.
these are the games I've been playing right now. It's in the history. But I also enabled
Favorites,
my
Mortal
favorites.
Kombat 4 USA.
So it's also here my favorites. That's why it repeats twice, because it's in history.
Mortal Kombat favorites, Mortal
and these
Kombat
are my
4
favorites.
USA. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Ultimate Mortal Kombat USA. Mortal Kombat 4 USA.
So I have all these different games that I loaded up so far. So far, I'm only playing on Nintendo 64. I'm still trying to figure out how to set up PS1 games. It's a little different because you got to install what's called BIOS, and I'm still trying to figure that out. But as far as accessibility, as you can tell,
Images, Mortal Kombat
everything
Trilogy.
is reading it
Videos,
back
no
to
videos,
us.
Content was coursed. Explore, show all. Main menu information.
so
Settings accessibility. History,
there we go.
Mortal Kombat 4
And
USA.
you can set up the audio like how you want it.
Favorites, Mortal
So
Kombat
for
4
example,
USA. Videos,
if I
no
go
videos,
to the
content was
settings,
coursed. Explore, show all.
let's
Main
go to
menu
the settings
information.
real quick.
Settings accessibility.
And instead of the accessibility, like I said, it's very minimal. That's all you get. But everything is working as far as blind players is concerned.
Net achievements. User. Directory. Logging.
What I did is I went to audio.
Input. Audio output.
This is where you can choose whatever audio output you need to, right?
Microphone.
But this is cool.
Synchronization. MIDI. Mixer.
This is where you kind of set up how you want your RetroArch to sound like. For me, I like those clicking sounds because it has that PS3 clicks
Menu sounds. Volume gain. Menu sounds.
right here.
Menu sounds mixer on. Enable OK sound on.
See that?
Enable cancel sound on. Enable notice sound on. Enable BGM sound off.
BGM sound. This is like kind of like your background music. Obviously, I have it turned off right now. But if I turn it on,
Enable
you get
BGM
this.
sound. Menu sounds. Enable BGM sound on. Enable BGM sound on. Enable notice sound on. Enable BGM sound on.
It's kind of hard to hear it, but
Menu sounds. Enable BGM sound off.
yeah, I think you
Enable
turn that
scroll
off.
sounds on.
And here, the clicks too. It says here,
Enable scroll sounds
enable
on.
scroll sounds. It's on right now.
Menu sounds.
I just
Enable
turned it
scroll
off,
sound. Enable
and
scroll
it's
sounds
gone.
off.
But I like them on.
Menu sounds. Enables mixer on. Enable scroll sounds on.
So, but it's all accessible. Like all I'm doing is
Audio
that.
menu sounds. Audio DSP plugin. Audio DSP Fast Forward Audio Speed Up DSP plugin. Output. DSP Fast Forward Audio Speed Up DSP plugin. DSP plugin /private/var/container.
You have different audio plugins.
DSP filter, vibrato DSP, tremolo DSP, reverb DSP, phaser DSP, panning DSP, mono DSP, low pass CIIR high shelf dampened EQ DSP, echo reverb echo DSP, crystallizer DSP, echo DSP filter, chorus DSP filter, chiptune enhanced, chiptune low pass bass boost DSP filter.
I'm gonna put bass boost because I like that on
audio
my games.
DSP plugin bass boost DSP.
And this affects like your games, how your games sound. And I like
DSP plugin bass boost DSP settings video audio.
And there you go. That's accessible.
Video. Audio.
Another area that is accessible, but it's a little tricky though, is
video user interface logging directory user.
It's on
achievements network
configuring your buttons, and I'll show you guys on that when we go over some of the configuration settings that you need to go over. But just know that you're able to configure your buttons here to whatever you want, because keep in mind when you're playing retro games, a lot of the buttons are different throughout different systems, so you got to match those. But by default, RetroArch does recognize, like, let's say a PS5 controller. You know, you'll still have like your for fighting games, you know, your square, triangle, X, and circles. I'll be like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like it'll still have those settings. Like your L1 will be your throw, and your R1 will be your block button, or whatever. It does have it like that. But you can, I mean, you can change them around in here. But when you do it here in the main menu, it's gonna affect your entire game library. But there's another way to do it within the game itself, not within the game itself, but like in the quick menu that this thing has, and I'll show you in a bit.
Power management, accessibility.
But yeah, it's accessible. So let's go, for example, to the input, right?
Director, logging, user video, audio, input retro, turbo fire, heart keys, menu controls, retro pad binds. So
this will be when you get into that, and I'll show you guys in more detail, right? In a little bit.
Binds, port 2 control, port 3
and
controls.
You have different ports as you can hear. Look, it reads everything. This is what's cool about
port
it.
8 controls.
It's reading everything. We have 8 ports, so you can hook up to 8 controllers on this thing.
Port 1, port 2, port 6, port 7, port 8, port 1 controls.
So by default, you're always gonna connect your external controller.
Port 1 controls.
Yeah, on port 1, it's always going to be port 1.
Input retro pad binds.
So
auxiliary retro pad box settings input history Mortal Kombat.
I'm just browsing so you guys can hear it.
Videos available. Content list colors to explore shift main menu information. Online updater net play. Import content playlists. Load content. Load core. Configuration file. Information. Online updater.
Yeah. All of these are accessible. So it's browsing a console. Like my phone right now feels like a portable console, a gaming console, which is so freaking cool, you know. So again, this is just kind of like a very basic overview. Even what I'm about to show you as well, it's very basic stuff. I definitely recommend, in order for you to configure your settings, I will mention this in there too, but Retro Game Core has a really good tutorial, and what's cool about the guy that's telling you how to do stuff, he explains what exactly it is, and you can follow along by browsing the settings as he's mentioning the different sections. So it's really cool to follow. So I want to put that in the description.
Favorites Mortal Kombat 4 USA.
But yeah, when you click on a game,
Mortal Kombat 4 USA.
Say I'll click on this game.
Trilogy, U version 1.2.
This is what I've been playing
Mortal
right
Kombat Trilogy, U version 1.
And I run it, right?
Menu load core. Game remap file loaded. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. U. Version 1.2.
And then when I click my home button,
restart,
I get this quick menu, like kind of like on the PlayStation, where you get these options.
Resume.
You can resume the game.
Restart.
You can restart it.
Close content.
You can close the game. They call it content, but it's the game.
Save states.
They have different states here, and you can load those states. So I have some settings that I configured in the game, and I just load them from here.
Save state. Core options.
Core options. This is where specific to the Nintendo 64 in this case, is that's what I'm running, the core.
RDP plugin manage core options.
So it says manage core options.
Pack controller options.
All of this stuff is accessible.
Manage core option. RDP plugin G-Lite N64. Manage core options. G-Lite N64.
So for example, here I went to
aspect ratio wide adjusted.
I have the wide adjusted, like the different
wide resolution 1920x1080 16:9.
Yeah, it reads everything.
RDP G-Lite CPU RSP Mortal Kombat controls.
And now I backed out of it, and I'm on the controls. This right here is where you set up your
controls manage turbo fire port 1 controls.
Your specific controls that you want to map to based on this the Nintendo 64. You map them here, and so every time you load it, it's specifically to this core. Mortal so if I was to load up a PlayStation 1 game, those controls are not gonna they're not gonna mess up my PS1 settings because it's not affecting it, because it's gonna be using the main buttons that you configured initially. So here, this way you would do this specifically for this, So let's say you pop up the Super Nintendo, it's gonna be different. The Nintendo's gonna be different. Sega Saturn's gonna be different, right? And so, but if you're happy with how it defaults it automatically, then you don't have to worry about it. But this is where you change it. And I'm happy to say that process is accessible, and I'll show you guys.
Main menu net play.
I'm on the main menu now.
Update, information, configuration, quick menu, load content, subsystems, playlists, settings input, audio, video, user interface. So yeah, that's basically kind of like the overview of RetroArch accessibility for blind players. Is fully accessible as far as navigation. There are a few things that I want to go over at the end though, that I want RetroArch to configure at some point. So hopefully they're gonna, if they come across this video, they can see that what they've done here is really cool, and I want to be one of those people that at least I get to try it out, But I'm hooked on this. I've been playing on this a lot more than even modern games right now. So obviously I'll get back into to my regular scheduled games, but I've been immersed in this and just really exploring it. So I'm gonna show you guys now how to initially set up. Again, this is not necessarily a full tutorial, but just to show you that setting up is accessible. So let's jump right into that. Okay, so again, this is not a full tutorial. The whole point is just to show you guys that if you were to set this up by yourself and follow any, like I said, an online tutorial from a good example again is Retro Games Core. Again, I'll put that tutorial on the description so you can check it out. But I just want to show you guys that it's again, just to continue the accessibility overview, that for you to set that up is accessible. So when you first launch the app, history, Mortal Kombat trailers, main menu playlists.
When you first launch the app, it is going to tell you accessibility enable on. It's going to be on. And so when you take your controller, you're going to browse the main menu, and it's going to be, probably it's going to feel a little different than how I have mine right now, how it looks. If you want it how I have it,
settings, user interface.
The first thing you want to go is into either the user interface or the drivers.
User, achievement, network, power, access, config, recording, saving, core, playlists, drivers, frames,
go to
drivers menu, video G, menu XMB.
You hear where it says menu?
Location, menu XMB.
For the kind of like the PS3 layout is X and V, because originally when you have it, you're gonna be hearing
drivers menu blue.
You're gonna hear this.
Location,
so if I'm browsing,
camera pick, locate menu blue.
So that's where it is right now. But of course, I'm gonna bring it back to here.
Drivers menu XMB.
So that's what you want to do if you want to change the layout.
Settings, drivers.
Now, in order for it to take effect, you do have to actually close the app. So you go to App Switcher, and you kill it, and then you bring it back up, and it should change that way. So that would be like the first thing you do.
Frame, drivers.
The other important thing that you have to do, now this is really cool. Again, this is where accessibility really shines as far as screen readers go.
Playlists.
So
main menu, set history, Mortal Kombat.
On the main settings,
subsystems, playlists.
What you gotta do as well, you have to go to what's called an online updater, and you have to update certain file forms that are in there in order for RetroArch to fully start functioning properly.
Subsystems, load content.
Especially like background stuff that it's doing.
Quick menu, configuration file, information, online updater.
So you go here to online updater.
Online updater, core system files downloader.
And one of the cool things about this is that again, the tutorials will mention this too. Like the guy would say like, oh, when you see this check mark, this tells you that you need to update these system files. What's cool about for us, for blind players, the screen reader, it even reads it to you what it is. So if it doesn't say upload or update, it should say update before it starts reading the file, then you don't have to worry about it. So I'm gonna browse, and you guys will be able to tell.
Content downloader.
See, there's nothing there. It doesn't say upload.
Updater settings. Playlist thumbnails updater.
Or update. Update. I keep saying upload, but it's update.
On-demand thumbnail downloads off.
See, nothing there.
Update core info files.
Right there. This, you will have to click on here. You press, you confirm your X or whatever controller you're using. You confirm, and it's gonna download the files.
Update assets.
You gotta update that too.
Update controller profiles.
Update that as well. Oh, definitely this. You gotta make sure that's up to date.
Update cheats.
That if you want like cheat systems and all that stuff, it'll have it here.
Update databases.
You gotta update that as well.
Update overlays.
Update that as well.
Update GLSL shaders.
Update as well.
Core system files downloader.
and this one it didn't say anything, right? So you don't have to worry about that. So it's cool. Whatever checkmark the tutorial was talking about visually, it's like it says it right there. So the screen reader is telling you as well that you gotta do. And what's cool about it, you only do this once. Like that's it. You don't have to come back to this anymore, unless you have to troubleshoot your controller for some reason it's not connecting or whatever. Then you just go to
update controller profiles.
Update controller profile, and you can get to that as well, and just update those files just in case you've had to troubleshoot. So that's what you gotta do for accessibility. For like to function, right?
Main menu online update. Settings playlists.
And
Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Favorites Ultimate Mortal Kombat. Images Mortal
of course,
Kombat.
the screen reader.
History Mortal Kombat
If you want it
Trilogy.
faster,
Settings playlists. Drive latency input.
As I mentioned
audio,
here,
video.
you go to
user interface. User achievement network. Power management. Accessibility. Text to speech speed 6.
So I like it mine right here.
Accessibility text to speech speed 7. Accessibility text to speech speed 7. Accessibility enable text to speech speed 7.
See, it's a little faster, right? But for the sake of the video, we're gonna move it down.
Accessibility text to speech speed 6.
Right there.
Accessibility text AI service.
So that's how you would do it. And as I showed you already too, if you want your sounds, you click sounds and everything, you go into the
configure power management network achievements.
You go into the audio.
Config recording, saving, core, playlists, drivers, frame throttle, audio output, microphone, synchronization, MIDI, mixer, menu sounds.
You go to menu sounds.
Menu sounds mixer on.
And this is where you can adjust
enable
things
OK
like
sound on.
OK sounds.
Enable cancel sound on.
Cancel sound.
Enable notice sound on.
All of this sounds, right?
Enable BGM sound off.
That's what the kind of like the little background music that it has. I don't have it on actually. I just leave it on, but I'll leave it off. It's fine.
Enable scroll sounds on.
But I like the scroll sounds. It's cool because again, it sounds like a PS3.
Mixer on.
It's so cool.
Enable
I like
scroll
it.
Sound. Audio menu sounds. Volume gain. Mixer volume gain. Mute off. Mixer mute off. Settings audio.
Oh, and another thing you want to do too. This is regarding your controls. So let's talk about that in its own section because this is where I'm gonna show you guys controller configuration. Okay, so for controller, and again, this is to show for accessibility purposes, is I am going to the where it says input under the settings section.
Settings user interface. Video audio input.
Now, one of the most important things, it's just up to you guys, but when you first load up RetroArch and you connect an external controller, again via Bluetooth or USB, the buttons, like you know how when you for us in Western gaming, for us the confirm button is usually like on the PlayStation would be like your X button, and your cancel button would be like your circle button. But in here it does the Japanese version, or how the Nintendo has it, where it's your circle button. It's your confirm, and your X is your cancel button. So it's backwards. So if you want to change it to the Western
audio input
inputs, you go to input here.
Input retro pad binds.
And you go under
Turbo hotkeys. Menu controls.
Menu controls.
Menu controls unified menu controls off.
And this is where you can customize what your buttons do in the main menus. Like there's a search button, there's an info button, there is all this. I'm gonna go through them so you can hear it.
Menu swap OK and menu swap scroll buttons off. All users control menu off. Menu scroll acceleration off. Menu scroll delay 250. Disable info button off. Disable search button off. Disable LED analog in menu off.
So you can disable all these things here. But here's the thing, right?
This unified menu swap OK. Menu swap scroll button. All users can menu swap scroll button. Menu swap OK and cancel buttons on.
This is the one if you wanted to use the Western style confirm and cancel button. By default, I'm gonna do it here.
Unified menu swap OK and cancel buttons on.
When it's off,
menu controls menu swap OK and cancel buttons off.
Now my circle button
menu swap OK
is my confirm, and I'm gonna press X.
Input menu controls.
And it took me out of there because it's backwards.
Hotkeys, menu controls.
Well, that's not how I want it, so I'm gonna press circle.
Menu controls unified menu swap scroll buttons off. Menu swap OK and cancel buttons off.
And I press circle to confirm.
Menu controls menu swap OK and cancel buttons.
And now
off.
my circle button is back to me the cancel button. To my X is my confirm button. So that's what you would do that here if you wanted to do that.
Input menu controls. To menu controls.
Configure buttons. So when you first connect your controller, it automatically assigns the buttons correctly, especially for a fighting game, right? Like for PS1, for example, you are gonna have like square is your high punch, X is your low punch, square is your high kick, and circle is your low kick, and L1 is your run button if the game has a run, like Mortal Kombat. And L1 is your block button. Of course, for Street Fighter, you're gonna configure that the buttons accordingly to that 6-button layout, right?
Hotkey menu controls.
But it does that here.
Haptic feedback. So hotkeys. Turbo fire.
where you configure your control, and this affects like the entire application.
Retro pad binds.
As you go here, retro, and it's the first
Settings
option when
input, audio,
you start.
input.
When you click on input,
Input retro pad binds.
is the first option. You click
Retro
on
pad
here,
binds port
and
1
then you go
control-
to
port 3 controls. Port
there's
2
different
controls.
ports because you can upload to like 8 controllers in here, but the default's always
Port 1 controls.
port 1.
Port 1 controls analog to digital type none.
And so here you just arrow up and down and kind of hear the buttons that you want to assign to.
Mouse and set wall control. Reset to default control. Save controller profile. D-pad up, auto, D-pad right, D-pad, B button down, A cross auto key Z.
So the way you go about it too in here is,
D-pad, B button
and
down, A
this
cross
is
auto
where
key
this is
Z.
where you want your voiceover off, because if you have your voiceover on, what I'm about to show you right now, it won't work because voiceover takes over your gestures. But if you turn it off, you can actually use your arrow keys in whatever you focus on, and you can tap anywhere. It's not gonna mess with your settings, so you don't have to tap in the center or in the middle. You can tap anywhere, but as long as your cursor is focused on that particular item, then you can set it up here. So for example,
D-pad, B button down, A button right, B button down, A cross auto key Z.
this is my B button, right? Then this button right here, if I was to highlight, it's highlighted, and if I touch it, on the screen without voiceover, it's gonna use the touch screen that RetroArch is using, and then you have 2 seconds to press your corresponding button to do that. So because I did mine just to make sure it works on the N64. What I did is I went to
A button, X, start, L button, L2 button, R2 button, trigger right, trigger auto. L2 button, trigger left, trigger auto. R button, shoulder, R1 auto key W. L button, shoulder, L1 auto key Q.
Yeah, so these are automatically set. So I really didn't mess with these honestly, but the way you would do it here is a little different than how you would do it in the core, like with specific core settings. And here
R2 button, trigger
you
right,
tap
trigger auto.
whatever button you want. You find it, you tap it on the screen only once, and then you press the corresponding button, and you have 2 seconds to press it, and you'll hear it because it'll assign a number to whatever button it is. It's kind of confusing, but just know that that's how you can do it here.
L3 button, thumb L3 auto. R3 left analog Y up, left analog right analog Y up, right analog Y auto. Right analog X plus right analog X plus auto.
Yeah, so it doesn't. It's already, these are like your default buttons. But if I were you, I probably wouldn't even mess with this, because where you want to configure your buttons more specifically though, it's
Retro
in
pad
the
binds,
core
input retro
itself.
pad binds.
So for example,
Input
if I
key-
load
input
up a
keyboard
game,
controller, setting history, Mortal favorites, Ultimate Mortal Kombat USA.
Let's say I wanna load up-
Mortal Kombat Trilogy U version 1.2.
this game again.
Mortal Kombat 4 USA.
Let's
Mortal
use this.
Kombat
Mortal
Trilogy
Kombat
U
Trilogy,
version
okay.
1.2.
So,
Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
I'm going to load
U,
it.
Mortal Kombat Trilogy U version 1.2. Resume.
And that's the game, right? But we don't want to do that right now. I mean, let's say the buttons are not configured properly.
Restart. Close
Which
save states.
for Nintendo 64 it isn't by default, because for whatever reason, because the C buttons are also like moving buttons, I guess, and so the right thumbstick on a PlayStation controller, if I move the thumbstick to the right, that's actually a low kick, and if I move the stick up, that's actually a high kick for whatever reason. So for you to configure that, the way you want to go is on this quick menu here that I showed before.
Core options. Save states.
We have
close content. Restart.
all of these. You go to
Save core options. Controls.
you go to controls,
Controls manage remap files. Turbo Fire. Port 1 controls.
and you click on
Turbo Port 1 controls.
port 1 controls, and
Port 1
here's a
controls
little
device type
different.
controller.
So what's different here is
Analog to digital type mapped port 1. D-pad up, D-pad down, auto key down, D-pad left, D-pad right, auto key
instead
right,
of
D-pad
pushing
right.
the button itself, like physically, like you touch the screen and then you push the button and that'll assign it, here you don't have to do that. What you do is
D-pad left, D-A, B.
you find the
circle, auto key,
button
X,
that
C,
you want to
right.
change. Say for example, my block button is wrong and I want to change it to C left.
X, square auto key, Y/triangle
What
auto
I do
key,
is
SC
I
up.
look for the button here.
Left, menu, start L1 auto key, QC down.
You hear how it says L1? That's the left trigger.
R1
I
auto
mean the
key,
left
WC
bumper.
left, L1, R1 auto key, WC left.
So I found
R1 auto key,
I
WC
found
left.
R1, but R1 by default for some reason is assigned to like a high kick because of the way like the Nintendo 64 kind of configures your buttons automatically. So if I wanted to change it, I would go
L1
here,
R1 auto key, WC left.
R1, and then I touch the screen. Watch this. I touch the screen.
Port 1, R1 auto key, WC left, C left.
It says port 1. So now a new window pops up on screen where if I browse the arrow keys up and down, I hear nothing but the Nintendo 64 buttons now, like all of them.
Start. L shoulder, C up, B button, C down, a button. C B button. C L start. C left. C right. Z trigger. R shoulder. Control stick Y. Control stick Y. Control C button. C buttons Y plus. C buttons. C buttons X. D pad up.
You see that?
D,
So
C down.
what I'm gonna do is with the arrow keys, I'm gonna find C left, which is the block button on the Nintendo 64. That's the layout. So I'm gonna go down.
B C L start. C left. C right. C left.
There's C left. So on my phone itself, I'm gonna touch C left now.
Start. C left.
Now that I'm focused on it,
Port 1 controls R1 auto key WC left. R1
There we
auto
go.
key WC left.
and it confirmed it. Now it's confirmed. So I didn't even have to physically map the button. I did it through the app itself, and it configured it. So now my C left, it's correct. And that's how you go about it, and it's accessible. Now this took me a while to figure it out. I was literally pushing the button and it wouldn't do it and it wouldn't change it. So until I find out that because nobody kind of tells you how to change it. A lot of tutorials just say, oh, you go in here and you see these buttons right here, you push them, and that's how you configure your buttons. I'm like, okay, but you're not explaining how exactly though. So hopefully this gives like a better way of doing it. If not, then of course I'm more than happy to answer. But that's it.
Controls Port 1 controls.
That's how you configure that. And so
Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Then-
Core options. Save state. Close content.
if you want to go resume
Restart.
the game,
Resume.
you just click on resume,
Mortal Kombat Trilogy. U version 1.2.
and you're on the
Resume.
game. Yeah, I'm on the game. Now, of course, I'm not going to play here because there is a slight input delay because of the way I'm recording right now. So I'm not going to bother with that. So let's kill the game.
Restart. Close content. Restart. Close content. Version 1.2. Run. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Favorites. History. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. U. Settings input.
And we're back to the main menu, right? So this thing is fully accessible. And of course, now, what I want to focus on now is actually talk about some possible improvements because it's not all perfect. That's the one thing we got to make sure we talk about. It's not perfect. So I want to finish this video by talking about some possible improvements. Okay, cool. So we talked about all the different how accessible it is and all the different settings, different, again, just sort of like a very, very basic overview of how accessible this app really is. But there's more into it. Just know that configuring can get a little challenging and confusing at times because there are multiple ways of doing the same thing as well. So it can get a little confusing. But one of the things that it is that I'm hoping that RetroArch can maybe improve in future updates has to do with uploading games and also using the keyboard. Like if I needed to change something, like I don't know, I want to change the name of, what if I want to change the name of the game, right? How it looks like, how it's written there. I want to change it or whatever. So I want to show it. I want to show that with, first of all, let's talk about the keyboard. So
History. Favorites. Mortal Kombat images. Mortal Kombat
here
Trilogy.
I took a
version
screenshot
1.2,
just for the heck of it.
1411727.
And when you click on it,
Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Documents. Rename.
you have things like rename,
Remove.
you can remove it.
Add to favorites. Set core association. Reset core association. Information. Run. Rename.
So rename, obviously, if you click on it, the keyboard should pop up, right? But watch this. If I click on it,
Keyboard input.
it says keyboard input. But remember, my voiceover is off anyway because I want, I'm focusing on RetroArch right now, so I don't need voiceover. But if I'm scrolling, I don't know if I'm scrolling, if it's moving to the keyboard on screen or not, or like it's expecting for me to just type, with my, keyboard. But if I was to turn on voiceover here, I'm not able to type because remember the gestures are not recognized by RetroArch, so I'm not able to type here. So my thing is maybe RetroArch can make it where its own screen reader here reads the keyboard like on the PlayStation, where if I browse to the left or to the right, it'll read each letter, and I can push confirm as I go to type, and then do like have a finish button or whatever. So they could do that. That would be one thing to do it. As far as that. So that's one thing that I wish they would fix. So I'm gonna cancel here.
Document slash images. Favorites. Mortal Kombat. History. Mortal Kombat. Settings input.
All right, real quick, I just want to go over the last thing I wanted to discuss, which is loading up games. That's like the main core of this whole thing anyway. Quick disclaimer, just know that this is not going to make retro games accessible or anything like that. Obviously, this is more for like those of us who, played retro games back then with no accessibility features, and we already know the menu layouts and all of that stuff. So if you're one of those people, if you still want to, bring those games back, then this is it. But the main thing about it though, is that loading up the games is still something that I hope that RetroArch does work on in the future, on future updates, because what's happening now is
Configure load core.
keep in mind that right now voiceover is off. So if I wanted to load up a game,
Load core 2048. Main menu load content.
you click on
Load content
here
downloads. Open.
and you go to open. But I'm not gonna do it now, unfortunately, because it has the potential of crashing the whole thing right now, especially with voiceover, and I have to restart. But if I was to click here, it opens up your files, menu, well, your files app on iOS, and so voiceover, would normally read that no problem, just if I go to my files app, without RetroArch. But RetroArch goes in here and opens your files app, and voiceover, when it's on, it lags like significantly. So it doesn't allow you to browse naturally, like you can go to different folders, different applications, or in this case different files, to find the file that you're looking for to load it up in here. But when you do that, it lags completely. And so I was able to do it because I would swipe slowly. It took my time, and I finally found what I needed to load, and that's how I was able to load up all of the games that I have on here now. But this is where you will go right here to to upload the files that you have. So, but again, it's something that I hope RetroArch would work on, where it doesn't lag, where voiceover can work where it needs to work. That's why I want them to work on
content.
that.
Settings in.
So,
Mortal favorites, ultimate.
And this is how I was able to upload all of these games right here.
Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
And it's working fine.
Trilogy.
So
version 1.2 2505291411727.
So those are like the two things: the keyboard and loading up the games. I think it's because that's like the main core of this. So not being able to load up your games by yourself independently, it is kind of a hassle. So that's it for that. I'm just gonna finish it up here and finish my final thoughts. So just to conclude, I hope you guys made it this far, first of all, and if you did, thank you very much. Appreciate you watching this video. I just wanted to show how nowadays accessibility it's so out there now, where things sometimes even become accessible, whether it's by accident or if they consulted with somebody, I don't know. And if they did, awesome. But again, there was no record of this being talked about, that is accessible or not. And again, if there is, please let me know in the comments and everything. But I just wanted to show you guys how this app is fully accessible. And I want to say to RetroArch, the developers, if you guys are interested, I'm more than happy to work with you guys. Like I said, I just have a couple of ideas. For the most part, I think this is good to go. It is, again, like I mentioned at the beginning, it can be a pain in the butt to like set it up if you don't know what the configuration that you need and all that. But for a lot of us, we don't care about the graphics or any of that stuff, so it really doesn't matter as much. But in case you do, like if you want to make content and stuff, of course you gotta know how to set up the graphics, the layout, how it looks like, and all of that. So that can be a little bit of a pain, but it can be done. It's the app itself allows you to do that. You gotta know which settings you need to go to. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I just wanted to show you guys again how this app that it's accessible, and I just discovered it without meaning to, and how I ended up just getting hooked up on it, and I've been immersed into it so much that once I got the games loaded and I got the controller settings mapped out how I wanted to, I've been playing a lot of it, and I might work on uploading maybe some retro game content again, like I kind of did for a while. I have this one of my playlists in there is called Going Down Memory Lane, and I never finished it, I think. But now that I have this, I feel like I'm gonna be able to upload a little more content on that. But yeah, this app is accessible. RetroArch, again, I'm down to work with you guys, to give you some feedback, and this app will be like really cool, like once you get those things figured out. Other than that, I love my retro games. These are a lot of these games that I have up here that I uploaded.
Videos, no videos available. Favorites, Ultimate Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
This game right here
version 1.2
was the very first game that made me realize that I could play fighting games using sound, even though the game is in mono. But you know, back then, whatever we had, we worked with, right? And so this is with the game that it's dear to my heart because it allowed me to get to where we are now. Kept it going, you know, so much so that you know, I can do all of the stuff that you know, just any sighted player would do, just because of this how I got adjusted to the sound and all that. And I'm you know, and I'm not, the more I talk to fellow blind players in the community, the more I realize that I'm not the only one, right? There's a lot of us out there who went through similar phases, right? When we tried so many games because we wanted to play games, we watch our siblings, you know, there just, you know, wishing that we could play and stuff like that, you know. And so sometimes when no one's around, we just kind of try it out, push buttons, you know. That's what I did, you know. And as I was losing my vision and all of that, so this game to me means a lot. So that's why I have it here. And I have, you know, again, I have my physical copy. All of these games I have physical copies for. So yeah, that is it, y'all. Again, this is where I wanted to share with you guys my experience with RetroArch. Again, thank you guys for making it this far. And yeah, thank you all for, you know, for those who always like comment on my videos and all that cool stuff. And again, I did get sick, so I'm just kind of still recovering a little bit. I went to Combo Breaker. It was a good time. I wanted to do a you know, kind of like a blog post on it as well. But I mean, I've been coughing so much and all that stuff, and then I couldn't really talk that well. But I wanted to make this video because it's fresh in my mind for, you know, RetroArch. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Thank you guys again for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And RetroArch again, I'm down. Feel free to contact me if you know, if we can work together on that. I'm more than happy to do so. So yeah, again, this is Rattlehead. Thank you for watching, and I'm signing out. Peace.